Ah, now we went through. Hello, everyone. How's it going? This is H&D Abroad. We're glad that you're here with us today. I'm Herman.
Kitchen.
And this is Miss D waiting here. Good to see everybody. Please let us know if you can hear us okay today. We are in a broader space of our kitchen. We're doing a kitchen conversation again with us. So we want to make sure there's not too much echo. Good to see you all. For those of you who don't know us, we're H&D Abroad. And here on our channel, we share our experience to move abroad as we try to find our new place.
Yeah, so all of the decisions that we're making and the research that we've been doing and what we've been finding and people that we've met along the way, so that hopefully it can help inform your process. We appreciate all of the encouragement that our community gives, all the suggestions. And if that is interesting to you, we invite you to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you're alerted when we go live.
Which we do every Saturday at 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern, just like today.
Yeah. So H said, I want to go live from the kitchen. And I said, I don't have anything to prep for today. But I am going to be working on a project. So some of you guys might know H is a chef by
self-design,
self-training. And I am getting back to the things that bring me joy. And that includes crochet. Let's see, since last December, I have made 3 blankets, one for each of our children, queen size bed crochet blanket. For each of them, I made H. His grandmother is 95. Mm-hmm. And I did a blanket. It's a beautiful green circular blanket. And then at the edges, it has sunflowers. So large sunflowers were for each of her grandchildren, all 12 of them. And then 22 small sunflowers representing each of her great-grandchildren. So if I get a chance on the community post after we're live today, I'll post pictures of that. And so now I am finishing my 5th blanket for my niece. And then once I finish off the border for this, I'll start working on my nephew's blanket. So all of the nieces and nephews will have blankets for me, all of the kids. And then my first blanket was when we were dating. So yeah, hopefully I can get pictures of all of those. But I like crafts. H's craft is culinary. So we talked probably in one of our earliest videos about not waiting until we moved abroad to bring more of the things that bring us joy back into our lives. So that, I think, is what is motivating me to take a little bit of time out of every day to do something that slows my brain and makes me happy, and hopefully makes the people around me happy too.
Trying to get back to just taking a deep breath, enjoying life and enjoying each other. And so we just brought you in our space today. We're going to talk. We really had thought we had done a specific goals outlining video for the year. I think we've talked about it in pieces. But we wanted to kind of give you an idea of where we were in our process so far this year. So let's take a minute and say hello to all the great people. Of course, there's Servant Teacher Nikki.
Hey, sis.
Always present, our good friend Tanya Brooks. We have to have Tanya over dinner.
Yeah.
Hey, Charlotte Radley, what's going on, Jay Stokes? Good to see you, my friend. Francis is in the house today. Hey.
Hey. Hi, Rita. I think it's nice to meet you, maybe.
I don't know. Got a few, but it's good to see you either way.
Absolutely.
The good Sam, the financial guru from Black Women Build Wealth. Glad to see you. Our sister from another mister.
Hey, Greta.
What's going on, Greta? Agent Alpha 4, our other dedicated soul. We always good to see you.
Yes.
The whole part of Nikki and Davidson. you know, when they come in on all their pages, that makes it work good. What's going on, folks? Big Dave is here. Good to see you. Let's see who else we got in here.
All right. So I think what the format I think that works today is to kind of give you guys the big picture. So this year has been the doubling down on what are the most critical things to get out the door. What are the pieces that we can really kind of let go of and just make our move for 2025. This year, as much as I wanted this to be our year, I think some things were not in place. One, we had not, as you all have seen the struggle, what do we do with this house? That was a huge struggle that we have actually moved toward. We don't have to make a decision. Mm-hmm. And maybe we'll talk a little bit more about that. We have doubled down on what financially we need to be prepared to do to continue to make money when we leave, but also what debts we want to have finished, and paid off. Or are you okay with just being on a payment plan and adding it to the budget? And then some relationships, some things that we felt like we needed to tie up, whether it's relationships or, just things that I didn't want to leave on the table, like some travel, mm-hmm. Some US travel that we wanted to do, some things, some people we wanted to make sure we had solid connections with, including our kids. We've had some really good heart-to-heart conversations with them. And probably the last thing that most people really put at the forefront was really in the back, was on a back burner for us. And that is, where are we going? That part of the conversation, the decisions around that, as we started making peace with the things that we were talking about, actually have gotten sharper and clearer for us. It's making the decision about where we go a lot clearer because of what we've put down, what we've picked up, and what we now know we need to center as priorities for where we go. It's changed the conversation and the focus of the conversation. One of the things that we've talked about before is that, some of the decisions were hard to make because we did not have a lot of opportunity to be on the ground, right, in the spaces, to interact with spaces we were interested in. And so by having a little more opportunity now, and we'll talk some about that today, to interact in some of those spaces, it's solidified some things, as well as the realities of what we can and cannot do here. Right. So we start with, y'all know I'm going to start with money. The financial goals. That's what I was going to think. Yeah. Okay. Money. Let's see. So I think the money conversation, like we said, is twofold. One is debt. So what debts were we willing to say, you can continue to dip into my monthly budget when we leave? And what debts were we like, no, I don't need you coming for me. I don't want to have to worry about this. So if you have been watching think it's Adelia had a really good show this week where she was talking about money and just consumer debt is a no-go for us. I mean, like I cannot have, we have one credit card. One credit card and had been using it to do some minor things. And, you know, as you pay it off, then it's easier to kind of add that credit carding into your monthly calculations. And we were like, that's a no. So paying that off has been important to us.
Yeah, and keeping it off, which means then having a plan for the things we have to pay for.
Yeah.
When we canceled our credit cards, how long ago was that now?
Ooh,
James is almost.
Yeah, he was 3. So that was
16 years ago.
Yeah, 16 years ago.
16 years ago, we had one credit card.
One credit card.
And we canceled that card because in the time of crisis, we were using it as we have the credit card. And what we're trying to get back to is, what is our money doing? Where is our money going? And if we don't have the resources, what are our options and our plans for managing that money? And by making the credit card, I don't even want to say an emergency.
It is the emergency backup.
It is an emergency backup, but we're talking
it's
about
not considered in the monthly. It's
right.
not considered into our monthly.
It's a heavy emergency, and so we're trying to keep that in budget. So there are times when this is the time of year when a lot of the have-tos have to be paid, you know, insurances and HOAs and, you know, all of those little things that are outside of the regular monthly thing. And it seems like an understood thing to say, but planning is important. And one of the things that I learned from Dee that we've been doing for years that really helps is having a lot of those funding things. What's it called? Not pre-planned.
The buckets.
No. Where it comes out automatically.
Oh, yeah.
If automatic withdrawals.
Yeah.
So that we are saying they're going to take it, so we need to have it there. So we've created other banking systems. We've broadened our banking and accounting system so that we have, and that's something that I think we also got from Aging Grateful too, is we're working out of this bank for these things and working out of this bank for those things, or accounting accounts, and it helps not trip into the funding that's in front of us that we need to take care of. And that has created, I think, a little more balance. Sometimes.
Yeah, we had to do a little bit of shifting.
Sometimes there's a sleight of hand.
There's some classes that I've wanted to take that I had not been able to I've had to say no to because it doesn't fit. Because our bigger goal is to stay on our pay off strategy. And I think we're going to have to get back into that lean budget mindset. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because it means I get out the door and my dreams, you know, I can access
a little sooner.
Yeah, they come
because money. Yeah. So that it stays consistent and then is growing at the same time, so that we get to the end of this and we paid off everything, and then we go and we're broke.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the trap that we have found for us at many times is we get through things and then we're at zero. Right. And by the time we are able to build ourselves forward, either something else has happened, right, or we have burned ourselves out, or which hurts the most, the opportunities that were there have changed in scope. Right. And so then we have to reevaluate the scope.
Well, with this, if you are considering moving abroad, a lot of the way that we've done debt payoff in the past, we've decided not to do it like that again. So we've talked about 7 jobs between the two of us. You know, we double down, you know, we try to pay things off fast. I'm older and wiser. And this process, we've decided to go slow. We've decided to go slow and not, even though we are broadening how we make money, we are not leveraging our time for that money. So
paying more attention to what's going on with our health and our bodies.
Yeah.
We pushed through when we knew we shouldn't have pushed through before, and it was detrimental. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't times. This week, I think I have to admit, I said it to you yesterday, I overdid it this week.
Yeah.
And it was one in need to try to put some things in place so that I could have my break. And let me stop and say to the fellas right now, that is our nemesis. I will work hard, and then when I'm tired, I can stop at the end of this and I'll be okay. Or what's the old phrase? We'll sleep when we're dead. And unfortunately, working yourself to death is an actual thing. And what then did you benefit? What then did you benefit? I said in our earlier videos, if I work hard for my family and then I'm not here to enjoy my family, seems like a bit of a loss to me.
Yep.
They get whatever they need to be able to go on in life, but then I'm not here. And I worry sometimes if you're already not here because you work all the time, would you be missed? Because it's just like when you were at work and gone all the time, and you don't want that to be the scope of your life.
So, yeah, I see in our own assessment of what happens if we go slow. It's allowed me to work through, even though this is our timeline, because of my desire to prioritize. Look, if I want to be able to afford to be abroad,
that part,
and stay abroad, that we are giving ourselves the slow and steady wins the race mentality and preservation. It's a part of the self-preservation. I don't want to work. I'll never forget in Exodus Summit, a young lady was saying she finally got her residency. She finally was able to afford to be able to leave. And 2 weeks after she moved, she had a heart attack. And I was like, okay, no, that does not need to be. I don't want that to be my story.
Right.
I'm spending a little bit of time here because what I also found out is the harder that I work, the health issues that I have are going to flare. And so if I'm trying to keep things, kind of to a minimum, I don't want to advance in one area and then have a detriment in another.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Professor LCH is saying that is Achilles' heel. And I think it is for a lot of us, because that everything is leading you to debt. When we understood good credit is a debt, a realization.
Good credit score is a
reflection of the amount of debt.
Your relationship to debt.
Yeah.
Right.
And not how well you manage debt, but how much debt you have. When you have no debt, you have no credit. And that
no credit score.
Score. And that said a lot about it, because we're just like, okay, then this is designed to make us
to keep you
in the old loop, in the OWE loop. And I was just like,
Davis, I'm writing that down.
Right
Hold
there.
on, the old loop.
and that is a good one. And I it is exhausting because it creates anxiety that falls into your sleep time. That then creates less ability to be functional during the day. So those are the things. So we're really proud to say.
Yay. Okay. So what we did was we put our list. We've done the debt snowball. That's how we paid off the $125,000 in debt. We're going to list our debts from smallest to largest.
Right.
So we were blessed to get your loans have been put in deferment since the courts have stopped the program of cancellation, your debts. I meant to share that with you, Greta. Debt had, the last student loan was moved into forbearance while they work through the courts on the program that makes me eligible for forgiveness. And then we've just been knocking down the last few. I was afraid to file taxes this year because of the tax debt burden. It wasn't as big what do you call that? Something that needed to be crossed. Mm-hmm. And so, bam, paid it. So we had probably 6 things that were on the list.
Correct.
And with the student loan getting moved, that moved to I don't need to worry about that right now. And Adelia talked about student loan debt this past Tuesday. I was glad to see that. We have the tax debt. So there were 2 of those. One has been paid. One is about to be paid in the next 30 days. Mm-hmm. We are close to paying off. We are so close. Like, I think we will be celebrating before the end of this month. So that makes 1, 2, 3 things that we have actively paid off.
Correct. And
1 that's in forbearance that we don't have to worry about. So we've got 2 more things on that list that'll be paid off well before December of this year. Ooh.
That feels so good.
I mean, like, y'all, just to know that I don't have I could, if I got a second job, I could probably pay it off in 2 months tops. But is it worth it? It is not. To me, it's not worth it. So Greta's question: have you heard of the buckets? Bucket of 3 in terms of
buckets live on in retirement.
Yes. Holy Schmidt is a channel that I watch. Okay. Holy Schmidt. If y'all are not following Holy Schmidt for advice, I know I've shared it with Anita, the gallivanting grandma.
Okay, spoiler alert. Watch all the way through the information. Okay, he's one of those people you're like, why am I watching this dude? But
his information is solid.
His flat effect is a part of his appeal. It almost is like, oh God, this dude is but he actually draws you into the actual information, and he has been a great source of information. It is direct and to the point with this background of humor that is like, did he tell a joke?
Yeah.
like his title, Holy Schmidt. Yeah. Put that in the link, because that is definitely worth.
Holy Schmidt is a good resource. He talks a lot about preparing for retirement. So, thank you, Greta, for bringing up the buckets. And which also is helpful in talking about, we're also thinking about, let's see. We were talking about the accounts. Mm-hmm. And how we now have certain accounts that pay for certain things. So everything that's taken out that is automated is in a separate account from the money that we manage for day-to-day things like gas, grocery. that's a separate account because it's just helpful to know, hey, I know how much these automated payments are. I can have it auto deposited from my payroll into that account so that I don't think about it. I check it because one month we figured out that they had stopped the automatic payments for, what was it, the utilities or something like that. And we were like, why'd they stop taking the money out?
It just fell off.
To check, you need to be checking it, but it is so helpful to know, put this chunk in there, put that chunk in there, that's automatically paid. This account, I know exactly how much is our liquid money, things that, you know, that we need to pay or that we want to do. Like, we're going to go to a concert. H asked me, how much is it? I said, so and so and so. I said, is that in the account?
Yeah.
So, you know,
we're
money.
Planning the money around it, then it's okay. Then we got to find ways to make that resource available.
Yeah. And then y'all, if you don't have, I don't like side hustles. What I like is I have some ways to shake some coins loose.
Correct.
Now, gallivanting grandma, that's my go-to girl for shaking some coins loose. Okay. So I've got some ways, and H has some ways to shake some coins loose, including these bourbon chocolate chip pecan pies. So we use Uncle Nearest, and he made me some miniature chocolate chip pecan pies that he makes available during the holidays. So he's testing some new things with that. He does that also, miniature pecan pies, miniature bean pies. Oh, that's right. Sweet potato pies and bean pies. So yeah, I mean, knowing how to shake, I do balloons. I shake some coins loose every once in a while to pay for plane tickets, to pay, to get my money together for my next house sit, so it doesn't come out of our monthly
First
fund.
prep done for today. That's zucchini and yellow squash, prepped and ready to go for whatever.
So yeah, having buckets, so you know what you have, what is, and can stay on track for those of us that want to operate from a zero-based budget, that want to operate from I don't like budgeting. This is great. I know exactly when this gets to $50, I have to stop spending.
Oh yeah.
But all of the requireds are covered. Man, that was freeing for us. So yeah.
And I appreciate this comment, Greta. And I'm going to stop and say, partnership is accountability. This young lady is honestly a lot of the reason we are on track. It is easy for me in the process of trying to focus on what needs to get done to get distracted. And she say, did you check this? Did you focus on that? And she get into a rhythm that then requires me to be thinking about it so that I can respond to it. Thank you for that. I
thought I was a nag, so thank you.
No. And she's been saying that for, yes, in 2 weeks, it'll be 25 years, ladies and gentlemen. She's been saying that for 25 years. I absolutely appreciate it, because it's not that I'm not thinking about it. The preoccupation and then burnout, your brain just, and I'm learning to try to be more engaged in that process, because I want to take that anxiety away from you so that you have other things to think about.
Yeah. Because
I think you have bigger goals. And so that's my opportunity to say that out loud. She wasn't ready for that.
Nope.
So.
Nope.
But there's no nagging. It's just keep talking, because the keep talking is a part of the process for keeping the learning and keep practicing.
We have found so many new channels. We are paying attention to channels that really give us the numbers. Like, I'm loving that there are some places we can go and they're all inclusive price for the monthly cost for housing, utilities, internet are all, HOA are all included. If you are abroad and you are showing us those things, it is making it so much easier for us to say yes to those places. Yes to, would our budget work? So I'm watching closely. Gallivanting Grandma, I know you're in Barbados, or I believe you're in Barbados. Tell us where you are, because if you're still there, do some walkthrough, sis. I want to see. I want to see what's happening, because it tells me, can I apply the lean budget that we're considering to that lifestyle? But also, like, what do you do? So what's her name? Yolanda, Locating Cozy, is in Spain. And so she is hosting a Zaragoza meetup, 2-day meetup. She's taking folks to restaurants. She's introducing them to the attorney, but she's also inviting folks to take a pole dance class. Because you want to see what's available in the city. And so those are the kinds of things that I love, even though we've had, as much as I want to do more international travel, I'm doing stateside travel because that is more affordable for us right now, helps me to be able to stay working while also traveling. But also it's giving me, hey, that would be interesting to do. We have also talked about the reason why having a lean budget is important to us is because we may not be able to take a full honeymoon year. If you have not seen that, we will try to link it to this video. But we've talked about what would it be like to take off a significant amount of time where work was not centered, where if we just took complete time off where we didn't work at all and then went to working maybe on the weekends and leaving our weeks free, could we do that? And so the content, researching where folks are sharing monthly budgets is important to me. So yeah, having a date in mind. Yes.
And
oh, and Jay Stokes too.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to that because I put it up a minute ago. He put the word out for you out there. We've had deadlines, and deadlines have been by summer, by whatever. We are saying right now that Juneteenth is our Freedom Day.
Yeah, so that Juneteenth or before.
Or before is our Freedom Date. I know everybody's sitting there twiddling their thumbs. Where y'all going? Where y'all going?
H was very kind to Stephanie and Rashida, who asked him when he was interviewed on the Exodus Summit page.
So Jay Stokes brought that up earlier, and I appreciate that.
So what did you say to Stephanie and Rashida?
Well, what I gave them broadly is that we were probably starting in Central or South America. Let's be a little more, let's wind it down a little more. So here's the discussions that I think is important.
Why not?
Here's the discussions we're having, and you can kind of give us a little feedback because I think it would be really important and appreciated. And thanks, Jay. Let me sidebar for a minute. For those who didn't get a chance to see, the lovely ladies at Exodus Summit, a all Black women community, invited a few of us
husbands.
Yeah, to come onto their channel. And they did an interview with us last Labor Day.
Yeah,
Labor
Labor Day
Day.
weekend. Mhm.
Labor Day, to discuss our part in this move abroad process, supporting our partners, being a part of it, what it look like. I was the only person not currently living abroad of the husbands. And so I brought that perspective. We, as you know, most of you know, we have our visas in Mexico. We have our 3-year visa.
Temporary residency.
A temporary residency. Thank you. A temporary resident, 3 years in Mexico. Financially, Mexico has shifted at some point to a place. It's not off the table, but financially, it isn't one of our best options. But we wanted that visa because I think we really loved our time in Mexico. Where we have been focusing for the past several months is Ecuador and Colombia. We will be in Panama at the end of the year.
Not necessarily for scouting, but
Right.
so many of our friends have been there or are there that why not? Let's take a look.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know. They're on the US dollar,
We'll be doing a little project
Yeah.
while I was down there.
So
And the plan, the hope is that we'll also get a chance to
visit.
take a little bit of a trip down to Ecuador. The numbers in Ecuador are good for who we are and what we're trying to plan to do. There are always, with everything, concerns, considerations, adjustments. But I think it's one of the least demanding of some of the visa options we have. Outside of we talked about it, outside of the having to be there for a certain period of time for the visa to be moved to the next level. A lot of the requirements, and we're trying to avoid places that will try to hit us with taxes
When with our earnings.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to protect those spaces. And so Ecuador has moved up on the list for those of you in Ecuador who have been to Ecuador.
Places that we love, that we're probably saying not yet to, like Spain and Thailand.
Correct.
Thailand, I think for a first move for us is too far. I'm not sure if I want to get residency in Thailand, but I do want to have a second residency that is probably in a similar time zone as the US. So that's why Central and South America are, kind of bubbling up a little bit higher on our list. If Spain opens another door, I'm concerned about the tax implications. If we don't sell the house before we leave and we are in a taxed type of visa, if we sell the house and we have capital gains, Spain wants some of that money. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no, it's a no for me. Correct. So, so some of those things, as you are coming closer to where you're going, we're looking at what are the triggers we don't want to raise a flag to. We don't want a temporary visa mm-hmm. that would trigger tax implications if we're earning our money outside the country. We want a visa type that right now I'm not willing to leverage an investment type of visa, mm-hmm. but because we both are degreed, we want to potentially look at professional visas, which are prevalent in Central and South America, which means I don't have to have a financial eligibility as long as my degree is acknowledged and is not and does not conflict with the protected professions
right.
in the countries that we would qualify for. So let's see. The other thing with visas are the requirements. So they're going to either require you to put some money up, or they're going to require that you spend some time for qualifying, not just for the temporary visa, but we want to move to a permanent visa status so that we're not going through the temporary visa process. As you all know, we're getting into the last part of the year. If you're thinking about visas, I would go ahead and move forward with trying to get them, because visa requirements change. Yes. Usually, I mean, for things like Mexico, as we get toward the end of the year and into January, a lot of the income solvency requirements are tied to the minimum wage in the country. And a lot of the minimum wage is determined and implemented toward the beginning of the year, which means it's usually not trending down, it's usually trending up. And so if you're thinking about qualifying based on the money that you're making, now is the time to begin to line that up and take action. The problem that we have, that we've had to just say, if we want a second residency, we're going to have to choose money or time. And I think it's going to have to be time.
Correct.
We're trying to learn more about residency in Colombia. I know they have a digital nomad visa that seems to be pretty straightforward, but what are the other visa types we might qualify for?
And Gallivant and Grandma, if you're willing to have a conversation with us about it, I know you have contact with Dee. I'm willing to make some time to.
Oh, wait, she knows we want. I've been telling Diamond, we got to have a meetup. Please plan the meetup for Colombia.
Yeah, I would love to have.
Because there are a lot of people that are interested, and I noticed that you also said that Barbados is not as expensive, which is very surprising to me. I have a problem. You cannot outrun a hurricane on an island. And yes, I know you can take a plane off the island, but my aunt and uncle were stationed in Hawaii. And I remember packing toothpaste and deodorant to ship to them because of the prices. And that was in the 80s. So I'm a little nervous about living on an island, definitely wanting to visit. So thank you for that good news.
Congratulations to Michelle. She's applying for her visa in Panama next month.
Ooh, yes. Okay. So make sure you come back and let us know how that's going. Because I think Jay Stokes and his wife got their visa in Panama. So we've got people in community now. Yeah, let's see. So Jay Stokes is sharing some information. The reason why we chose Ecuador, if you want to, okay, so let's just go right on into it. Ecuador has a lot of pluses for us. One, the professional visa, you don't have to have a 4-year degree. If you have an associate's degree, you can qualify for the professional visa in Ecuador. Now, they do have exclusions similar to Panama. Panama has a professional visa as well. So you'll need to check to make sure, usually the medical degrees, sometimes, psychology degrees, some degrees don't, degree areas don't qualify. So check out if you've got if you're thinking about it. So education, my master's is in education. So ta-da, education is a yes. But Ecuador was a yes for us for the professional visa because of the associates, and our kids have associate degrees. but they can, if they didn't want to get the go through family unity. I mean, if they did not want to qualify for a visa to Ecuador on their own, as long as they are not married and under the age of 26, they can qualify for family unity under my husband and I, which was very attractive for us. I'm not aware of any other country that is doing that. So yes, our move abroad is about us, but it is also opening the opportunity for our family members to have places to go. So we were able to get our youngest his residency in Mexico under us. We're trying to get our older son and daughter to do on their own because they make good money, to qualify for residency in Mexico before the end of the year as well. And then once we qualify for whatever visa, then being able to have them come along and through family unity be able to qualify for residency. So that those as a mother, that was important to me. If I can leverage my ability to get my kids access, that's what I'm doing. And because they are not in our home and under 18, it feels like there are fewer and fewer options for that. And Ecuador opens the door for that for us.
And again, we're not far. We're not as close as, say, Mexico.
Right.
But we're not far. And since, Living, Loving Abroad has just told us they're going to feed us. I mean, y'all just all know, show up their table. Show and take some time and go to their channel. And because they are in Ecuador and they just, congratulations, announced their new move to Cuenca.
From Salinas.
From Salinas. And Cuenca is one of the places that we are
interested in
reviewing. So take some time and watch Living, Loving Abroad and their time in Ecuador. Yeah, Beijing Alpha 4. The whole
baby, Spain. As soon as we can lock in this, the qualifying dollars for digital nomad visa, I'm out. If we can qualify for their retirement visa in some new way, countries want residents because it is a money generator. We are paying attention. We are locked into folks that are creating content. But just because I don't live there doesn't mean I can't spend extended time there.
Yeah.
So,
and some of these places that we are really in consideration about allow us access to other parts of the world easier than they do like from here. So I know you were just saying from Panama?
Yeah.
The flight to Zaragoza?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so from Panama to Zaragoza on Air Europe was $300.
Round trip or one way?
One way.
That's great though.
So I can still go to the places that bring me joy from Central and South America for less than I thought that it would cost. So, and then when I found out that there were direct flights from the US to Cuenca, I was like, okay, game changers. And then the opportunities in Spain were really tied to the student visa. And I was like, but if I could make this work optional available to us versus signing up for, even if it is to work 14 to 16 hours a week, I have more control over my time. I think that's what we are really wanting, is to be able to center the ability to say, I'd like to rest for 3 to 6 months as we, slowly recover from all of this, and then move into, okay, what do we want to do to continue to generate income intentionally? We would be generating passive income, but what could we do So, I mean, what I'm hoping that you're hearing, and yes, Greta, yes, Panama is hurricane free. I was concerned about, like, I didn't know about what happens in whatever that part of the Caribbean, that they don't get the hurricanes. I think that's even farther down, that the hurricanes are not. So with Ecuador, it's not, it's the earthquakes.
Mm-hmm.
So, as they say, pick your poison. We've lived in Tornado Alley. That's where we live here in the States. So, being on alert for weather, changing weather and weather conditions. Mr. Miami here is well familiar with how to prepare for hurricanes.
Yes, get on the road and get out early.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. So Jay has got a lot of things going on. They're going down to get their apply for their visa in Mexico in October, and they're waiting on their residency approval, temporary residency approval from Panama.
Yeah. So this community believes in having multiple paths.
Yeah.
And multiple options for dropping in legally into a place for whatever amount of time that you want to be there.
Yeah, Tamara is in Barbados. I've seen a lot of people mention Barbados.
Yes. We had Jay Ophelia on our channel before.
Correct.
She moved from she had been summering or spending the winters. I'm sorry. She had been spending the winters in Barbados and decided to move there. And so hearing that Barbados is not, she said it is not inexpensive. Right. Thank you. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so that is
not okay. I've read that wrong.
And based on how you live, you need to know how to manage that.
Okay.
This is one of the things that we talked about that they're mentioning here, is that Ecuador uses the American currency.
Yeah.
So,
exchange.
For those people who have a problem with that exchange rate, at least that's a starting point to say, I'm working through learning.
Dollars are dollars. So when they say $500, they mean $500 and not something else.
Yeah. And I believe anything going down the Central Coast is going to have earthquakes. So I don't know if that's avoidable.
No. It's why I know California I wasn't moving to, but y'all, Virginia has had earthquakes. Alabama has had earthquakes.
There was a tornado that walked through downtown Miami several years ago, and recently too. So as the world is changing, I always say there are ways to adjust through where you are. You have to figure out how much of a thing it is. Where we live, this city is in what's considered the Tennessee Valley. And so we get extended periods, especially in late fall and the winter time, of overcast skies. Even when the weather doesn't get cold, it didn't rain until yesterday. It's been gray since Sunday. And that can be, we are sunshine water types. And my healing is in sun. And even when I'm outside, I'm just like, okay, I see some daylight. I just need some direct sunlight. And those things, you have to decide how that affects you. When people say, oh, it's cold there. And I go, okay, it's cold how long there? If you're moving to Antarctica, it's cold there. If you're moving to Alaska, there are harsh winters. You have to decide, how you want to live and your mobility. Again, conversations we've had a lot. Are you going as a nomad, or are you going to relocate? When you relocate to a place and you say, this is where I'm going to be, you take a bigger stance on how the environment and the people and the economy and the politics, how that affects who you are. If you're going to be in a place
and then drop in and drop out.
I'm going to be here 6 months. I'm going to be there 6 months. Or like Sandra from Lack the Legacy does, I got a home base and then I move around. And that's something that we've talked about too, is, finding one of these places and making it our home base, and then we continue to stay in, not in motion per se, but we have
I
a
still
place
want
to
a
move
country
away from.
day. Thank you. Thank you to both Anita and Diamond for introducing country dating.
That's what I'm talking about. She needs some sun, and her husband said no snow. Yeah, tell him don't cancel out the whole snow. It's not as bad as the sun. Because the funny part about it is, in most places, it's not as cold when it's snowing. But splitting hairs.
Yeah, the Greta was mentioning, don't forget to factor in healthcare. Healthcare is at the top of my list. And so people that are local, and this is something that I think is the most valuable resource, is people who are on the ground can share what's happening on the ground. Mm-hmm. So at least in Manta, I know that I could get a doctor to come to my home if I were sick for $60. They will make a home visit for $60. Mm-hmm. I can have my massage therapist come, or my mental health provider come to my home for services. Yes, there is, but I think the part that threatens our budget the most is catastrophic, where we would need to be hospitalized or have emergency surgery, or we had a health condition that, where we would need to have more medical care. So yes, we have been researching, how do you find insurance brokers that are local, especially if we're going to be in a place for 1 year or more. Mm-hmm. Or if we're also traveling, how do we cover our catastrophic medical coverage? So we've been looking at a lot of our friends. If you have not been following people, Safety Wing, we don't have any affiliates yet. But Safety Wing is one of the insurance vendors that we're looking at for covering if we need to be medevaced, if we need to have emergency surgery, where I don't want to have to come out of my pocket with thousands of dollars. That's why we would spend, and I'm looking at policies that meet the criteria that we have, somewhere between $1,200 and $1,500 a year for the two of us. So even with the health conditions that we have. So I thank you, Greta, for talking about healthcare, because that is the number one reason why we are leaving the States. Mm-hmm. I am more, as I age, I am financially at a greater risk of a medical issue snatching my dollars, because they're snatching my dollars right now. Because I say I need this care, so I've got to pay up. So this month, in the month of September, we've spent $500 or so, and that was this month. Yeah. On, I need to see a doctor for this. I need to, and so those, when you don't meet your deductible, I don't have a lot of healthcare costs, but my company, I've chosen the high deductible plan, which means I'm not going to hit that deductible. And even with it, y'all, you still are going to be out of pocket. And I'm just like, I'm going to be in this loop of, I'm paying off medical debt, I'm accruing medical debt, I'm paying off. So how do I manage that if I know that could be a part of just my self-care? I need to do it affordably. So finding a broker, if you're going to be in a place for a while, or going on a plan that, as long as what they say is, as long as you're outside of the US as a US citizen, as long as you're outside the US, we will cover you anywhere else in the world. Or most places in the world, I won't say anywhere else, but most places in the world, because the cost of healthcare in the States would snatch.
A whole lot.
Not just theirs, but the insurance company. They don't want to make themselves vulnerable to the U.S. healthcare cost either. So I feel like
Since Panama is also on the U.S. dollar.
yes. Oh, yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to say that as well. Panama is on the U.S. dollar.
And Greta's actually what is Safety Wing?
So Safety Wing is an insurance broker for a lot of digital nomads have Safety Wing. It is an insurance cover. So they have lots of different packages available. So you can decide and prioritize if you guys want us to have Candace Colston to come back and talk about how to review what are some things you need to have in mind when you're looking at insurance plans.
Mm-hmm.
I can ask Candace to come back on. We've
Absolutely.
had her on talking about long-term care insurance. We've had her on twice. So
we talked about having her again because she had a lot of resources and information.
Yeah, and we just had her share and do a Q&A in our We Out accountability group as well. And a lot of people found just her knowledge of insurance clauses and coverage, how to understand the coverage options
Mm-hmm.
that you are, or the questions you should be asking when you're reviewing a insurance policy has been super helpful to me.
Dr. Temple says she uses Safety Wing
Yes.
whenever she travels.
Yeah. Oh, please, if you are traveling at all, and thank you so much for that, Temple. If you are traveling at all, you should have some kind of catastrophic if your insurance coverage. So my company is an international company. So I just let them know I'll be in so-and-so country. Am I covered? And then they send me a coverage letter. I ask for it in English and translate it into whatever the country is that we're going to. And the first time that we went to Mexico, I made sure of that. And so I know that my medical insurance will cover me out of the country. Once I no longer work for that company, then I need to have something, because I'm reading these stories, y'all. 2 days in, a girl had a catastrophic medical issue. She knew she was going to be in the hospital for 2 weeks. It was going to cost over $3,000. And she was Philippines. I think she was either in Thailand or the Philippines. She was in Southeast Asia. And I mean, like, you're geared up for a beautiful, fun vacation in a part of the world where normally, out of pocket things you could cover, but like $3,000 while you're on vacation is not necessarily what you're thinking about. And so having Safety Wing, or there are dozens of these insurance companies that are out there, but Safety Wing tends to bubble up with people who we have been watching, who we have kind of trusted in our that we've taken travel advice from. Correct. And so I just feel like I could handle if I stubbed my toe and needed to have stitches in the local ER, out of pocket for medication and, stitching, and have a follow-up visit if needed.
But if surgery like Steven's talking about, they paid it out of pocket because it was faster, but
you can get reimbursement,
right? Yeah. And Temple was saying that she got sick in Indonesia. That's nowhere nearby,
right?
You can't just hold on and make sure you get home, and for that to be a way to cover that resource and to make sure that you have an opportunity. Those are things to really take into consideration.
Yeah, like I said, I'm leaving the U.S. for a variety of reasons. I feel like our retirement savings is more vulnerable because inflation, capitalism. I can't out earn and I choose to dip out of that. But I also don't want to move somewhere and then become vulnerable to having money snatched out of our budget, out of our savings. And so continuing that insurance coverage, making sure, I'm going to mention this here as well, check your life insurance policies. If you don't have a life insurance policy, make sure you're getting one before you leave, and making sure that your policy does not restrict coverage if you are now based outside of the US. And every insurance company it's different with how they lay out that language, but check your policy and make sure that that it doesn't have language that would keep you or heirs or whoever would need to get your funds from being able to get them because you are not, your primary residence isn't in the US.
I want to address this statement here by Sam, because I think this is important. You mentioned earlier about the lady who moved and then had a heart attack after she moved.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the same lady or somebody different. And we had a conversation recently with Nikki and David of It's a Wonderful Travel Life. And then David and I talked on our Monday night. Understand that we are not children anymore. We are not 20 anymore. Most of us that are here, and the transition of making these moves, especially when you already are living in a stressful environment here, can be affected in that move. And sometimes if you have an older car and a part goes bad and you put in a new pipe, a new hose, sometimes that new hose, because it's now creating a free flow of energy that wasn't there before, will cause other parts and systems to break down, because it's now the other parts got used to the constricted use of whatever hose that got taken out. And our bodies sometimes respond the same way. So there's two parts to that I want to say. First, if you are planning to move abroad, and we need to go back to saying this more often, whatever you plan to do somewhere else, you need to be practicing now. So if you want to be walking one day, you need to start walking now. If you want to join a gym one day, find some way to join some exercise level of interaction. YouTube is a cornucopia. Yes, I use that word this place. There's a cornucopia of information and resources. You can get a whole gym system of exercise and trainers just staying on YouTube. Do the things necessary to give your body a chance to recognize you're trying to do more, because the shock of all it takes to uproot your life and move somewhere else can affect you in a way that sometimes you might have had to recover from. And we've had the blessing to talk to people who made it over and, got better or whatever, but some of them took financial hits because of those. And we're talking about soon after, because your body is now saying, oh, and don't be confused. Just because you're doing it better doesn't mean your body's immediately going to go, thank you, we're better now. Oh, here's 20 pounds off. It's a process that is an ongoing thing. Make that something that you invest in now, that you put time in with now for your health, so that that move has as few hiccups as possible. It's the same process as we're talking about getting the insurance, and you're doing all the preventive things that are financial, but are you doing the preventive things that are physical for your health?
Go up. Greta asked a question I definitely wanted to make sure that we had a chance to talk about.
What's a good amount to have for emergencies in healthcare? This is a separate account.
Okay, so I'm taking advice. I'm gonna get an affiliate link from Adelia Aborshade of Picky Girl Travels the World, because I keep referencing her content.
You get an affiliate link from Mr. Randy too.
I know. Yeah. So Adelia talks. If you don't know Adelia Aborshade, Picky Girl Travels the World. She is a financial educator that lives in Mexico City and has regularly shared this. And so advice that I've gotten from her, as well as I comb through channels, one, I think it's reasonable to set aside $3,000 to $5,000 for medical cost. And this is why I've learned by watching the channels. My initial was to have a credit card that I could charge. So this credit card is only for healthcare emergencies. Okay. Then I found out that some hospitals will not accept credit cards. Woo! So they may ask for a certain amount of money up front, a large chunk of money up front. And so kind of similar to what we are doing now, there's probably going to be a bucket for us for if we need to make emergency travel. But there is also a bucket for that if I need to get a cash quickly without touching it, and I don't have access to the credit card option, where can I pull from to at least make a significant down payment on whatever those costs are? But that I feel like is my estimate. I don't think that you need $10,000 to have in health. If you're in the States, that's your emergency fund for healthcare here.
Correct.
That you could quickly eat into, with a reasonable 1 week stay at a hospital. So I think having maybe 2 to 5,000, 3 to 5,000, just that's sitting and growing and available. And if you it's a habit, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. But I think the backup to that for us would be a healthcare credit card. So something where you could have a high, what do you call it? A high max.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So that it's something that I could tap into until I could move some other funds over to take care of it, is kind of our 1-2 strategy. If you guys have some other ideas around having healthcare costs covered, please put that in the chat. If you are, catching us on the replay, please, this community loves more information and we will credit you. But yeah, knee replacements, hip replacements, major surgery. What is the couple?
Nicole says Fidelity has a credit card that gives you direct access to your HSA funds. Oh,
got it. I already had that. Because we're with Fidelity. And I made sure that was one thing because I have a high deductible healthcare plan through my employer. I have the HSA, which they contribute to because I do my wellness. We do our wellness, the checks, and we get money from, and then we put money in, toward the max that the IRS will allow us to have. That's free floating money. And we actually count our HSA dollars as a part of our emergency fund. And what we do is we don't use the HSA. Y'all didn't ask for this, but we don't use our HSA to pay co-pays and all of that, because you can use those HSA funds, at least with my account with Fidelity, those HSA funds can then go to fund ETFs and other things. And so that money is growing. It's not just sitting there. But what we've done is we have logged all of the receipts from our healthcare, so that if we need to tap into those dollars, I just present the receipt and they give me cash, because I've already covered those expenses. Those expenses have been paid. So prior hospital stays, when I had extensive dental work done, those cash receipts are now my way of being able to tap into HSA funds that maybe I don't need. Okay, so I was thinking we needed a healthcare budget. Maybe the HSA is a healthcare budget. And so that, because that money is available, those several thousands of dollars are available, we have ways to qualify to get at those funds. It
We've
would
talked
take
about that.
time.
Right.
So like I said, you can build a stair step of cash on hand, access to HSA, what do you call that? Healthcare, credit card, and then your savings that you might need to liquidate or something else that may take a few days to get, more than some of the other things that we've listed, to get access to cover those healthcare costs.
And advice that I've gotten from a lot of people who are already in the expat life: have bank accounts in country where you are.
Yes,
Have
because
money,
that debit card may not work.
have money that you can pull out of that bank and let that grow as well. Because again, we're talking about resources that are many places, so that any kind of political upheaval, I'm sorry, trusting trusting the changing waves and moves of our government or anybody else's government, I need to have access to what is available to me, so that when I need to make choices, I'm not having to ask permission to make choices about my life. I'm not having to negotiate and sleight of hand and return. And we have friends who have had to spend a lot of money getting back on a plane to come back to the States to take care of this or that, because have as many resources available as possible.
Oh, okay. So living, loving abroad, even though I'm not a vet, thank you, Steve, for talking about the VA FMP program. Hold on, okay, so I've got a list of things I need to add on. So if you are a veteran, you need to understand how to tap into the foreign medical. I think that's what the FMP is, the foreign medical program, so that you know how to qualify and access that. What I remember from the video, and see, please forgive me if I didn't get this right. If you have medical care for the injury that you have qualified for your disability with in the military, then you can have those, they can cover those surgery, that care outside through reimbursement, I believe. So y'all, I watched that video. I think if I've gotten any of that incorrect, Steve, please forgive me. But I was so excited to see, and he gives a very detailed explanation and references the video where the VA representative talks more about the eligibility for the program, links for how to register for it, because you can do that. I believe it's out of country, but he had his family member send his paperwork in country. So, he gives some really good advice on that. So
Jay Stokes said this VA medical coverage is accepted in Panama.
Yes.
So Temple, cash on hand, cash in an Ally account,
Ally, absolutely.
Cash in 2 or more American banks, British credit card. Have resources.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Your WISE account.
I hope that
your WISE account, so that you can transfer funds. But yeah, have the other person that needs to give us an affiliate link is Andrew.
Yes. Yeah. So the next of our great Caucasian brothers that we're going to share with you today, we talked about before, talk to the, nomad capitalists.
Yeah.
Listen, information is information. Truth is truth. And if you want to learn, I think it's important that we as a community of people of color, that we build each other. But that does not mean be blind to other information and where it's coming from. Dig into it. And
if it works for you.
And Andrew drops the whole knowledge, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yep.
These are some of the basic things that we've worked on in our goal setting for the year. We're traveling, as we said. We're scouting a little bit. We are thankfully building our money, getting our money back in order.
Set a deadline.
Um,
So help me if I can. And
we really are, even though it's not side hustles, we really are trying to build a few other streams of financial income that take care of the business without killing ourselves. Make us start selling these crochet blankets.
We have had some family issues that have come up that we have suspected might happen when we're abroad. We've had a little bit of a test case of that with family. And so, you know, being able to say, woo, if we lived abroad, what would we do if this happened? And, you know, and I'm trying to decide, this isn't something I can just drop in for. I might need to be here a while. What, you know, how life is going to life, regardless of where you are in the world. And so I was glad to be here when this particular issue or these particular issues have happened. But our son, and we've had son and future conversations with our children right through Zoom, and have had to share heart to heart kinds of conversations, truth conversations with them, and connect with them. And I wondered, because of house sitting, and I've wondered, could that work? And we've had the opportunity to experience them. We've talked in, what was it, January? You know, we helping our son to breathe through his first little fender bender over the phone. I mean, life is going to life. Healthcare issues are going to happen. Joys and sorrows and mom help me's, dad help me's are going to happen along the way.
We've been doing it to our parents for the past 30 years, and we don't live where they live. I mean, even when we're in the spaces, we've had to say, hey, I'm calling you on the phone, here's an issue, and it's our turn. And being in the space there, in this conversation we're having with Love Park Connection,
yes,
is, you know, being in the city makes you more physically available, but it doesn't change the fact that adults have to adult, and we are at the point where we are assisting them in life. We're not fixing it for them. We're not doing it for them. And they know, they've known always that we are always there. I said to a coworker the other day, we're talking about our children in school. My children knew that regardless of where I worked and what was going on in my day, if they called me and said, I'm having an issue, I was stopping what I was doing and I was headed to the school. I didn't call her to do it. I took care of myself. Because they called me, there was a reason. If there was a conflict with their teacher and they brought it to me, we went together to deal with that. And their adult selves don't change our need to be available to them. I think that's something that's important to us as parents, is to be available to them. But it sometimes requires me to say, hey, get on Zoom here. Let me talk to you. Let me look in your eyes on the screen. Here's what you're going to do. Here's how we're going to handle it. And if it doesn't happen that way, then I'll come over there. And that transition, I think, helps with them. Yes, no.
I'm laughing. I'm laughing at you about that.
Okay, so Temple, we do have some merch.
Okay, I don't know what's going on with our merch shelf with YouTube, so we may need to link directly.
And we've been talking about redeveloping some of our ideas in merch.
Yeah.
And so we have some new ideas that we think are going to be fun, and then we won't have to wear anybody else's shirts anymore. We'll wear our own Negro shirts.
So yeah, all of our gear is We Out, and so we want to encourage you all to embrace by any means necessary. by any means necessary, but it is your timeline, because only you will have to account for the impact of your decisions.
Yes,
We are the slow crew. We are so sorry if that is not your jam. It is not your jam,
because we believe that there are more people on this path, and
yes,
it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. The if we are going to, and when I look at those who've been transparent enough to share their journey a little deeper, a lot of them have taken more time. This has been a longer process. The conversation may not have started with us, and I'm saying the conversation may not have started with us until they said, "Hey, we're in the land of, woo!" But the process was longer, and those who are sharing that process are a part of this community, and that includes you. I mean, and some things fall into place, and we are always excited when something happens for you all. We take that as a win.
Yes,
there are many people who started after we did who have moved on and gotten it to work. Our process is our process.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, baby. I'm not ashamed.
I wondered if y'all would want to still hear from us, because we didn't, because we haven't. And I was like, but maybe it gives somebody hope that you push through difficulties, unexpected things, money glitches, health glitches.
Temple's leaving on the 18th. Trust me, we celebrating with you.
I'm telling you, that is
I don't know about y'all. We throwing a party when we leave. It's gonna be live like this. It's gonna be a whole party, and y'all just have to sit there and eat ice cream at home, because we throwing a whole party when it's our time.
Oh, ma'am, a whole handful and a half. Yes. Listen here.
One here and one there.
Yes. Just about the same ages.
Yes.
And one thing that what I've recognized is my parents deserve respect. They are an adult. Okay. And they deserve dignity. This week, my mom called and I said, expect me at 8:30 tomorrow morning. Oh, you don't have to. I said, I didn't ask you if I have to. I will see you at 8:30. And then to hear her say, I'm glad that you came. I'm glad that you came. I can say this would be easier on me if you did it XYZ, or why do you do, if you would just go in the straight line. Dignity and respect is how I'm looking at the care opportunities and options and the suggestions that I give. Sometimes it makes me want to pull my hair out, like literally. But at the same time, these are people that stood in the gap with us. I think about your mom and dad. Every summer, y'all, every summer, they would come get the kids. Every summer. After they were done with being nursed babies, they were with Mina and Puppy during the summer. That is a gift. My in-laws, 3 grandchildren at the same time. I can give back.
And did not bat an eye.
I can give back. My dad would hear the schools are closing because of the tornado, so and so coming through. I would be calling him and he would be like, I'm already on the way to pick the kids up from school.
He didn't even call to tell us. He just,
okay.
And I mean,
the kids loved it because they were like, Papa's taking us to McDonald's. Whenever it was a snow day, or, those are the kind of parents, and that is the parents to their grandchildren. I mean, how they loved us through us individually, and then as a couple. And I owe them.
Yeah.
Without regard
without
dignity
without hesitation.
and hesitation, dignity and respect. But come on, y'all.
They are a handful. Nikki said you gotta stop playing. Listen. We've already discussed what our content will be once we move abroad, and it will be a continuation of this process because this is who we are.
Yep.
Of course, we'll have a place to talk about, and we'll talk about whatever. But this process of the day to day, when we sign off for the last time, you'll have a heads up. And it won't be a surprise. Either that or she'll beat me up and tell me I ain't coming on with you no more. And then you won't see us no more. But there's no surprises.
Yeah.
And Dr. Linda.
Yes.
Listen. We know. And I'm telling you, it's gonna be a whole party. It's gonna be a whole party. And we appreciate you all being a part of our process.
Absolutely. Community is everything. When I say it's everything, I mean being able to know that being honest and transparent is valued in a world where it's pretty, it's flashy. I look like I'm living the best life. There ain't no tears. There's only sunshine. There's no rain. Baby, we bobbing and weaving, and the reality of that, I hope gives you hope that if they can do it, we can do it too. I keep saying it, I am not exceptional. There's nothing about D. Davis that is out here in the world.
Yes, it is.
that I'm pulling from skills that no one else has access to.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm not a trust fund baby. I'm not.
No cash flowing on here.
None of that. And so because I am what I was looking for on the internet. We are a channel that is throwing up numbers that's talking about, well, that's where I want to go. That's where my heart is. But what makes sense for where we are and the timeline that we want to keep, then we are adjusting our expectations to accommodate it in places that are safe, beautiful, good community, and allow us to achieve the goals that keep us on a path of achieving our goals. Our goals are, I'm hoping that you see they're refined, that they get sharper, and that all the things out here, there's a ton of things when you start the move abroad process. Oh, I got to figure this out and I got to figure that out. And I'm just like, okay, what can be on the go, no go list? And over time, we're hoping that you see that more and more things are falling off of that lease, and we're getting sharper and things are getting more specific. And we're able to say that fits into the dream bucket, that fits into the reality of getting out of here right now bucket. And one bucket flows into the other. So
that's our community model right there, Jay. We do this because it is a collaborative effort of growth.
Yep.
And we appreciate, as always, that you are part of our collaborative effort of growth.
Yes.
We are simple people. I am crazy about this girl. And I do this publicly because sometimes this is really hard. And I thank you for your patience, because you could run away. You could do this on your own. There are many people who are doing this on their own. I'm not a fan of that. No shame to tell you, not a fan of that. Either we're together at this, or there's a problem. And I appreciate.
And he's talking about marriage.
I appreciate you I appreciate you having your foot on the brake sometimes so that I can catch up.
Wow.
Because I know the freedom necessary to help you move on.
Mhm.
I know the freedom necessary for me to move forward so that I can be a better part of this process. And when you're keenly aware of how that interrupts the flow of the dynamic of a relationship, this can be a relationship destroyer, and we've watched it happen. And so I thank you for your patience and your partnership. And I thank you all for your partnership.
Yeah.
And we'll keep pushing forward and we'll keep trying to figure it out. She's got a meeting to go to that I made her late. We're digging in. We are H&D Abroad. I'm Herman. It's the beautiful Miss D.
Now, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell so that you are alerted when we go live again. If you have questions and you're joining us in the future, I love the replay gang. We're always going to answer your questions. We're always going to say thank you for letting us know that you've made it to and through another video.
And we do consultations.
And yes,
if you want to just have a conversation with us, if you want to talk through your process with us, because that's what we do. We do consultations. We're in the description. Jump in there, see who we are. We love you all. We'll see you all in just a little while.
bye y'all. Bye for now.